Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the 1313 podcast. Today we're having a have a chat with none other than LightSaber Radio. For all those out there who don't know what Have a Chat is our series on the podcast that we do where we invite other creators and members of the Star Wars community onto the show to talk about their experience with the Star Wars franchise, and then we have a chat. Go figure. So today we have LightSaber Radio. So LightSaber Radio, give us a rundown on what your content is all about.
Okay, so basically I am Kyle. We have Charlie, CJ, and Garrison, and we are LightSaber Radio. Our content is based on Star Wars, but we consider ourselves the outrageous Star Wars show because anything goes on our show as long as it's all about fun, having an entertaining conversation about Star Wars. We have a lot of controversial topics because we like to get to the nitty gritty about the things that a lot of people won't talk about. They're a little bit, we can't talk about that because it might stir some fans away. We don't really care. We just want to talk about Star Wars. We want to have fun. We want to enjoy talking about all the aspects of Star Wars, not just one part of Star Wars. So that's basically who we are.
We just like to play with emotions.
That's awesome.
That's all we like to do over here. We like to play with all levels of
I like
emotions.
to do that like every time I mention it, I always say Ray Skywalker just to mess with everybody. It's my favorite thing.
Immaculate.
So,
10 out of 10.
I have a question. Before we go like one by one through each of you guys to ask you guys about like how you each got into Star Wars, there's been a burning question on my mind. And so I've been watching your guys' podcast for a couple months now, like consistently. And I've always wondered, like, how did you guys get together to do your podcast? Because you guys are all from different places. So like, how did you guys like start this podcast and like get this group together? That's always been a question of mine.
Y'all want me to answer that, or y'all want somebody else?
Kyle's the one responsible, I guess.
Okay,
Kyle's
so I have another podcast. It used to be called Sway. It was Star Wars Audio Archives. Now it's Star Wars in 10. And basically, I go through the books. But it's just me doing it. So I'm just, we listen to a part of the book and then I talk about it. I wanted to have a conversation. I'm looking at everybody else's, watching other people's podcast, including y'all's. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. I want to talk to other Star Wars fans. This kind of sucks I'm just doing it all by myself all the time. I only get to talk to me. And of course, a lot, I would say a good 80% of households, people that are Star Wars fans in there, they don't have nobody else to talk to. It's just they're the fan and nobody else in the household is the fan. My wife can't stand Star Wars, so I have nobody to talk to about Star Wars. So I put out a call on Instagram, TikTok, and on my other podcast that I wanted to start a new podcast, a group podcast. And I basically got like 300 and something people responded. And I went through and interviewed each one of those people. And then I had my assistant go through and pick out the best, or the ones that she thought that would fit best with the content that I wanted to do and the stuff that I wanted to talk about. So at first it was Garrison and a gentleman named Mark. And then I got Charlie. I contacted Charlie because there wasn't really a lot of females that came in and asked to be a part of the podcast. But me and Charlie had talked before on Instagram. Her cosplay is amazing. She does Rey. So I wanted to bring somebody in to kind of keep us in check. And so she said that she wanted to come in, and CJ was our the fifth person. There was only supposed to be 4 of us. Well, then Mark kind of got CJ on. Then CJ became part of the show, and then Mark quit on us. So then it just became me, CJ, Garrison, and Charlie.
Dang, Mark.
That's pretty interesting,
Nice.
though, I'd say.
I gotta say, I'm gonna talk about this.
Applicants.
I want to talk about this.
The best on the show.
So when I contacted Kyle's group, his assistant and him and everything, and I got on a video chat, Kyle and I talked for what, 2.5 hours?
I think it was longer than that, maybe
Yeah,
like
it was
3 and a half.
we just sat there and BS. It was like an old friend that you picked up the phone and hadn't talked to in forever. We just talked about Star Wars. We talked about everything going on, what he needed from me if I was to be on the show, all these things. And it was just a normal conversation. And then when I got the Instagram message saying, hey, we'd like you to come on, but you'd have to be like a pinch hitter. You'd come on for like certain episodes, certain things. Yeah, hands down. I'm not going to argue. Like, I don't care. And then I ended up coming in and taking over a full-time position. And it just, I lost my mind. It's been amazing ever since.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, that's seriously, that's a question I've always wondered about, because you guys are like, I mean, like, Charlie's from overseas, even though I definitely thought she was from Idaho earlier this week.
That was me. I kept saying, no,
I'm sorry.
it
In
was
my
me,
defense,
guys. You guys
on the
popped
show.
up in my notifications that I was like, oh, I want to watch this. And I kept throwing responses at you guys. And they're like, Charlie, I thought you were in the UK. And I was like, no, I'm in Idaho. What are you talking about?
Well, your username was Charlie.
So
and hers is Charlie.
we were live streaming this past Monday, and so we saw Charlie jump in and said from LSR. So I was like, oh, it's Charlie from LightSaber Radio. So like we're like pulling up all the comments that Charlie puts up. We're like talking, and then Charlie's like, I'm from Idaho, and we were sitting there like, huh? But then I was like, but you have an accent. And then Jackson like called me a xenophobe. And, you know, we're sitting like, whoa. You know, so like I'm like I got to do some digging. I went on like our follower list on our podcast page on Instagram, and I was like, oh, it's CJ, and it's like, oh my god.
Jeez.
But yeah,
Not our proudest moment.
Well, I still watched you guys. I didn't dip out. So.
Hey, we appreciated it, man.
But yeah, so let's go through one at a time with you guys, because I love hearing about people's like Star Wars, I guess, origin stories as them being a fan of the franchise. So whoever wants to go first, we'll just go down the line. I just want to hear everybody's personal history with the franchise here.
I'll go last because mine's going to be the longest.
Yeah, that's true. CJ?
DJ?
I'll shoot first, I guess. It started. So my grandfather was a big Star Wars fan. When you guys came on the podcast, I explained that we'd watch Clone Wars. But before Clone Wars was a thing, my grandfather had the action figures. He had the original trilogy in the VHS. And during Christmas time, he'd always put it in. My grandmother wanted to put on Polar Express, but Grandpa was very adamant that Star Wars was a Christmas thing. So we watched Star Wars. And I fell in love with it immediately, and it progressed into Clone Wars, and then I became as my mother calls it, a super fan, because I have 45 Funko Pops. I have 75 Black Series figures. I mean, I have a helmet in storage. Like, it's just, it became something that I talk about every day and I love, and I finally got to be able to let it out with these guys and get emotional, make jokes and all these fun things. And it's just been amazing ever since. You know, I just love Star Wars. And I mean, I'd get more into detail, but it'd take like an hour. So I'm just trying to wrap it up.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's good.
I'll step in.
So let's go. Yeah, Charlie, you want to go?
Yeah, go for it.
We'll get the Charlies out of the way.
Yeah, get the Charlies out of the way.
We're in our own boat.
I would like to confirm for your listeners, I am the Charlie from England. I'm from the UK.
I knew it. I'm just saying. I knew it.
I'm from Idaho.
I couldn't even tell you where Idaho is. If you showed me a blank map of the US, could not tell you where Idaho is. Anyway, Star Wars. I was a voracious, avid reader as a child. Anything and whether it was age appropriate or not, like in terms of, I think I read The Hobbit the first time when I was like 5. I was so desperate for fantasy and anywhere to escape into. And then when I was about 9 or 10, I think, because Phantom Menace came out in 1999, so maybe it was about 2001, and my mum presented me with a VHS copy of the Phantom Menace, and it has like Darth Maul's face on it, and you can see like his eyes and like the red paint, and I was obsessed. I watched that video every day for maybe about 2 years. I watched it over and over and over. I didn't even know there were any more films. I did not know at this point that there was Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. It was only The Phantom Menace that I cared about. And then I moved on. I found other interests. I moved away from Star Wars. And then when I hit sort of 15, 16, that was it. I fell in love all over again. It was getting excited for the sequels that were coming out. It was rewatching the prequels. I didn't watch the original trilogy until I was about 16 years old.
What?
Whoa.
That was
I know. I know. I didn't
Wait,
know.
I don't mean to interrupt, but
I didn't
why does
know.
your jersey say- No. What does your jersey say?
My jersey, it's suck it. It's DX. It's wrestling.
Oh, I
yeah!
just
The only football jersey I have.
I didn't want to like.
We've been trying not to laugh this entire time because when you said that you like to read, I like to read whether it was age appropriate or not, and then me and Jackson both kind of went at the same time.
And then to boot as you're going more, then like I just saw the word suck on your shirt, so I just sat there and I was like, I'm so sorry.
I knew this shirt was a bad idea.
Okay. Just blame it on like our peewee brains, okay?
That's
So,
absolutely
okay,
fine.
sorry,
I get
okay.
it. I mean, if you want to make a joke about like the stormtrooper crotch that's over my shoulder, like free real estate, not felt out.
Highlighting? Wow. Yeah, you got a light directed right on the stormtrooper crotch and a shirt that says "suck it." This is all coming together.
And Grogu's on the other side just watching it all happen.
Yep. It's the way I like it. No, right. Star Wars.
So you didn't know the original trilogy was a thing until you were 16?
Nope. I know.
Damn.
It's awful.
Wow.
It's absolutely terrible. And I consumed all of it in the space of about 6 months. And I haven't stopped being obsessed with it since. I have a Star Wars tattoo. I went to the midnight releases of all the sequel films. I had a really I should not admit this on like a camera, but I had a very popular Star Wars blog for a long time on Tumblr when Tumblr was really popular.
Oh, really?
Had a good sort of like 10 to 15,000 followers just because I posted Star Wars memes and angry rants about how people needed to leave Hayden Christensen alone.
Wow.
And then
And now he'll
I then cosplay, and then suddenly out of nowhere, a message from Kyle at like 9:30 in the morning being like, "Hey, do you want to be on a podcast?" Here I am now. I don't want to ever do anything else with my life. This is it. This is everything. I love this. Right, I'm done. Thank you. I'm done.
Okay.
Gonna just hide.
Well, mine's not as entertaining. I did not read books like that, like Charlie, unfortunately. Looks like I missed out. No, I grew up. So I had really solid parents. My dad, I was really close with him growing up, especially. We bond a lot over sports, music, and then old movies. And one of those movies was Star Wars, right? So he kind of got me into Star Wars. That was one of the things we really bonded over, him, me, and my brother. I remember growing up, like having little lightsaber duels. But like later on in high school, I spent most of my time doing sports. I was just kind of where I came from was like major jock, I guess. So most of my friends weren't really into Star Wars. So it was like, not that I tried to keep it hidden, but it was like my hidden little obsession that I love Star Wars and nobody else really talked to me about it like that. And so, come Kyle, I jumped on the opportunity, like finally other people who I can talk Star Wars with. So yeah, fast forward to here. It's always been my like dirty little secret, I guess.
It's a closet.
And now I come out of the Star Wars closet, I guess.
I called it because I was the same way in high school, Garrison. I don't think we've ever got to talk about this. I was the same way.
Yeah.
I was an all-star baseball player. I was going to college for baseball. Nobody knew that I had a whole freaking office area. Nerd. Just straight nerd. Anytime anybody came over, nobody went into my office area. It was just in the living room or in the bedroom. It was never my office. So being a closeted nerd and finally being able
Yes.
to like when I became got out and was an adult and got to do my own living room and stuff. Everybody came over one time. They're like, "Yo, where'd you get all this? What?" And I'm like, "Dude, I've been a Star Wars fan forever. You guys just seem very judgmental, and I did not tell anybody." So it's nice being able to do that. So I'm glad you got to do it too. It's a great community.
I think we all did the opposite, and we were very open that we liked Star Wars when we were very young, and we all got tremendously bullied for it.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Really?
I think too it's pretty funny because I have told this one story. There was one time like a couple of years ago where like I had a girl over to my apartment and like we had been hanging out for a couple of weeks and I was like, yeah, so like here's my place, but like we're not gonna go in my room, okay? It's just not gonna happen. Right? We're just gonna sit right here in the living room and not do anything. We're certainly not gonna go in my room. And so I like walked into my room to like, I don't know, grab a sweatshirt or something. And so she must have followed me in. So she just like looks around and goes, "So what's all this?" And I'm like, "So yes, like, I told you I'm a really big Star Wars fan. Safe to say, we only hung out like one time after that." But
I was gonna say, is that the War of 1812? Bro?
I got.
yeah,
lucky.
it is the War of
Do
1812.
you want to tell them that story?
So
Not the right kind of people.
this is the other story. So this same girl, right? So I like took her. So where we live, there's like a national park, and so like we were driving around the national park, and I was kind of like, it was the middle of winter. The car that I had, the radio was broken, so it's just like silence. And so she was like a really like, she just sucked at having conversations. So like she like you'd be sitting there, I'd like say something, and then she would just stare at me, and I'd go, "Speak, speak." Like, so like. I'm sitting there and there was like a War of 1812 monument like over on the right. And I literally talked about, I was like, "So know anything about the War of 1812?" And she just goes, "No, I actually don't."
Hey,
So I proceeded to
that's
talk
not
about the
funny.
War
That
of
sounds like me on
1812.
a date, okay?
I talked about it
Hey,
for, like,
is that how you won
almost half an
Addison's
hour.
heart? Is that how that happened, Garrison? You pulled up
Bro,
just a historical
okay.
fact and she fell in love?
No, but think of Addison's the same way. She's like grown up a jock her whole life, secret nerd, bro. It was perfect.
I lucked out with Tori because she was the exact same way I was too. She didn't admit it. Nobody knew about it. She was a great softball player. She was in rodeo, all these things. And then when I met her, mega nerd, just everything. We had Porg muds, we had Star Wars everywhere. Oh,
I have
gosh.
But this chick was obviously
just
not like that, it sounds like.
Nope.
No, it was just I like talked for like 30 minutes just because I couldn't stand the silence. And I got done talking. And I was like, "So yeah, that's the whole War of 1812." And she just goes, "That was very interesting." And then just like stared forward. And I was like, but
There's
yeah.
a quiz
And then
after
she
this.
never
bitch.
talked to her again.
Never talked to me again. That was her L though. She took an L there.
There's a pop
That's for
quiz
love.
right before I drop you off. You got to
Yeah.
answer correctly.
Knowledge.
Instead of it's
Yeah.
not you, it's me. It's not me. It's really you. Okay.
It's not me. It's the War of 1812.
So
But yeah, so Kyle, let's hear your origin story because it seems like you got a whole load of things to talk about with that other podcast.
Sit back, get comfortable.
so mine is a little bit more extensive because I'm a little bit older than the rest of y'all. I was born November 1977, so I was young when, Star Wars had just came out. My mom, like some of my first memories is of Star Wars. One of the most traumatic memories that I've ever had is of Star Wars because for some reason my mom took me when I was like 5 or 6 or whatever I was to go see Return of the Jedi, and Jabba the Hutt scared the hell out of me. And we had to leave the theater, and she beat me because I made her pay for the movie. And then she and I made her leave because I was scared of Jabba the Hutt. But there's always been I've always had a connection. After Return of the Jedi, as I started growing up, I wasn't so much into Star Wars. I always watched it. You know, me and my mom would watch it, and my little brother and my sister. My dad, not so much. My dad was a Western guy. If it didn't have something to do with somebody getting shot in the face, he didn't really want to pay attention to it. So when I hit about 13, I was about 12 or 13, and nobody knew about this because I lived in a very predominantly gangster area. I started sending letters to George Lucas every week, asking him when he was going to come out with new movies. I'm guessing he didn't ever get none of my letters because it took him till 1999 to create a new movie. But it was around that same amount of time that I got into the books. I had to do a book report for school. I can't remember which book it was now. I think it was Darth Vader Immortal or one of the books. I can't remember which one it was. But it's the only book report that I ever got an A on. Like, I read that book like 3 times because I found out this is the time that I found out about the book. So then I started reading every Star Wars book that you could possibly get a hold of. Anything that was written, I was reading it. And then as I got older, I kind of slipped away. Then I kind of just got away from Star Wars, just life, just in general. Started having kids and different things started happening. Then I started getting back more into Star Wars because I was watching them with my kids and watching the cartoons. And I'm a big cartoon guy. I'm like the hardest cartoon fanatic ever. Like, if you met me in person, nobody would think that I would sit here and watch cartoons all day like a big kid. But I started watching all the cartoons. And I'm more of a cartoon person. People say, "Oh, it's an anime." No, it's a cartoon. I love cartoons. Shut up. But I watched all the cartoons. I watched, Rebels. I watched the Clone Wars, and that was just my weekly thing. I watched them with my kids. And then when I found out about audiobooks, then it just became an obsession to me. Star Wars was just a complete obsession. I listened to every single audiobook that there was. Every single one. Multiple times. Like, because it was easy. I worked for GE. I was a delivery guy, so I'm delivering. I don't have nothing to do. I have nobody to talk to. I deliver the appliances. I install the appliances. It's just me. So I had a partner, but he's doing his part. I'm doing my part. We're not talking to each other. We're just doing it. So I'm just constantly listening to the books. And then when I hit I had another podcast that I was doing with a friend of mine. We were just talking about being men. It was just, men stuff, dealing with wives, dealing with kids. And I was moving out of state, and he was like, "I don't want to do it remotely." So I was like, all right, what can I do a podcast about? So I was sitting there. It was me and my son and my grandson. And we were watching Star Wars, and I was just looking at my grandson, how excited he was to see Anakin and Obi-Wan fighting with lightsabers. He was just so excited. And I was like, and he gave me the inspiration. I said, I'm going to do a podcast about the books. I'm going to do a podcast about Star Wars. And basically, then I got to here. That's the short version. I could have done a longer version, but I was trying to be nice.
No, you're good.
Something that I did want to point out was we have the luxury of the internet where we can always interact with other people. Where when you said you wrote letters to George Lucas like weekly, for a second I was like, wow. But then at the same time, it's like you guys didn't have like even like a Star Wars insider at the time. Like, it was just that there were the movies, and maybe the corner store is playing like a bootlegged version of like one of the movies. But other than that, like, there was no way to get more Star Wars or like talk about Star Wars. And so what else are you going to do other than like petition the guy who makes the movies to make more movies?
The question is, did you ever get a response?
No. Not one time did I ever get a response.
Here's the thing. In 3rd grade, I had to do a project where you wrote like letters to like famous people, and it was like a huge lesson about like how to like professionally write, blah, blah, blah. So I sent a letter to George Lucas, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, and Jeremy Bullock. And so George Lucas actually replied, and I asked for a picture with him and Jango Fett, and he sent me one back. So that's like framed in my room. But then Jeremy Bullock took a whole year to like write me back and wrote me on a post-it note and then send me like his like 501st Legion card.
And it's signed.
Yeah, signed by him. So
Oh, that's
like-
super dope. I ain't never
I'm
get a
never
response. They
getting
didn't care.
my children
But
never
also, I think it also had to do with that during that time period where I was at. You know, I lived in Alaska at that time, so you know it was like didn't nobody even know we existed. It was like, where is that? You know, so
Wow.
Yeah, that
Wait,
same
what-
project I did with Jackson. For my grade, I wrote to George Lucas. I got the same thing from him, but I also wrote to Harrison Ford and I wrote to Bon Jovi, and neither of them responded. So Bon Jovi, if you're watching this, you suck.
Bro.
Nah, I think I got back some. I think at one point I did get back like a, if I remember correctly, it was like a card or something. I think my mom had it, but I didn't ever get like a handwritten letter. It was like some typed out crap, you know, that they sent me.
Yeah, mine was
you
typed by
know,
a secretary.
you know, their assistant is the one that wrote it up, or their promotional person is the one that typed it up and said, hey, you know, and it was something like that, and it was like a card in there or something. But I never got, you know, I never got a personal letter from him. You know, I've talked to people that have got personal letters that George Lucas has wrote them, but you got to think of how many fans was probably sending in stuff at that time. So I didn't ever expect to get none. I just wanted another movie. So I was just happy as hell when they dropped The Phantom Menace. I was like, oh my God, we got a new movie. Oh, we got a new movie.
I did that.
I wasn't so much concerned about whether or not he wrote me back. I was more concerned about, are we getting another movie? I want another movie. Give us a movie. Give us something, please. I want some more Star Wars. And
Not the Ewok stories.
yeah, not none of that crap. I wanted some
Not
more
the
Star
holiday
Wars.
special.
Oh God, no.
Hey, I don't know about you guys, but I did watch Charlie's petition to you guys about Star Wars holiday special and about its artistic prowess. You know, I just I was almost swayed. I gotta say, I was almost swayed. But then I sat down to watch it again, and I got 5 minutes in, and I garbage.
The best thing to do, and this is something okay. So I'm older now, 44, but when I was younger, I used to do some things that probably isn't the greatest thing. I took some shrooms one time and watched the holiday special. It was the funniest thing I had ever seen in my entire life.
As Charlie would put it, that's the way the maker intended.
Yeah, that's the way. You guys need to remember that George Lucas was like a 70s hippie, anti-war. Like all he did was consume colossal amounts of recreational drugs. So Star Wars is meant to be watched mindless, like baked out of your little skulls. Beautiful.
It's just funny.
Only a stoned man could invent a walking carpet.
And a
Dog
self-conscious,
stand.
anxiety-filled droid.
Yes. Don't get me started on how C-3PO is anxious and has inbuilt anxiety, and that's a real problem in Star Wars, and droid rights are important.
Calm
No.
down, L3.
Just quick question on that. Y'all know what I mean by like the railroad people? How they're like, no, like the Sins are people too. I kill them all. They're not people. You can't convince me that a robot is a person just because it says it has feelings. We create that. They don't create that. It's lying to you.
1313 discussing what it is to be human.
Well, you gotta have sales. You gotta have
No robot rights in my country.
and you gotta be able to enjoy Dunkin' Donuts coffee. That is all. That is what makes you human.
Beautiful. I'm
Cells,
sure.
blood, Dunkin'. Oh man.
Okay, so I got a question for y'all right quick. What was y'all's true feelings about the entire Book of Boba Fett series?
So we have a podcast that's going up in a little over 12 hours now,
Yes.
where we literally, so normally when we talk about an episode of the Book of Boba Fett, we talk maybe like 20 minutes about it, and it's just us going, yeah, that was cool, I liked that. Yeah, that was neat, I agree. we probably talked, I think it was a little over an hour of
Yes.
just talking about the last episode. And Jacob was a little more critical of it.
Yeah.
I would say I was kind of in the middle. Jackson was a bit more optimistic about it.
Yeah.
And so we had some really good like discourse about it. I would say overall, the show, when I look at it as like a supplement to The Mandalorian, I feel like it's a lot more cohesive than as a project by itself, because I can see the because I've already started like rewatching it, and like I could definitely see like it feels like the show, like the first few episodes go really well and they're very cohesive, and then we kind of like do like a little zigzag, and then we hit the Mandalorian episodes and it's cohesive again, and then it kind of zigzags towards the end. And so I think that looking at it as a supplement to The Mandalorian makes it a lot more cohesive.
I look at it mostly like if you've ever read Thrawn, then you know the book has like a style where it'll go like one chapter from Thrawn's point of view and then a chapter of somebody else's point of view. I see it as this. That's why it's the Book of Boba. I see it's a chapter in the Book of the Mandalorian. It's just from another person's point of view that progresses the story.
From a certain point of view.
So
We had to know what
didn't
happened to Boba Fett. We had to know what happened to Boba Fett to know what's going to happen in Mando season 3, because Mando was part of his story in that, and we also had to get the backstory of Boba Fett to know as to why he was doing what he was doing. But in all, I really liked the Book of Boba Fett as a show. I was a bit more critical on that last episode. Maybe it was just because I was having a bad day that day, but no, I sat there like because Tommy and Jackson be like, I liked it. I'd be like, I don't know, boss, but I rewatched it like last night, and all the problems I had with it, and there was like I just didn't care that much. Mayor is indisposed at the moment. It was a scheduled vacation.
I just want to say, I thought it would have been so much funnier if the second he walked out the door, you just heard a blaster shot. And he, like,
Thank you. Somebody agrees with me. I'm sorry. The second he sat there and said nothing, I thought the Pikes were going to blast him. I immediately thought that blaster lifting up. Oh, he's gone. He's dead. No, Boba and Din had to save him. What is he going to do in the next season? Annoy us some more?
Have a
He is
beautiful
the-
relationship with Penny Moto.
He is the
He's
Jar
failing
Jar
those.
of the series.
Yeah. I feel like I was a lot more optimistic towards the last episode just because I liked it. And I feel like I'm more aggressively optimistic now just because I feel like there's so much unneeded hate. So, like, yeah, the big point that everyone talks about is the mod spin trick in the blaster. They're like, it ruined it. It wasn't. It was like,
That was trash. We needed to
I
talk
think
about it.
for
Yeah,
me,
we needed to.
the mod spin blaster shot, I think perfectly represented like all the Book of Boba Fett, for me at least. Was it cool and flashy? Yeah. Was it unnecessary and stupid? Yeah. That's kind of how I viewed Book of Boba Fett in general. There's a lot of cool flashy parts that were like entertaining that fans would like, but overall I thought it was kind of bad.
So my thing is, like, why did they call the Book of Boba Fett when you could have put The Mandalorian, the story of Boba Fett? Like, it's like in the Bible, you have like John chapter, you know, so on and so on. It could have been The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, where it's a part of what's going on in the Mandalorian universe, but this is what's going on with Boba Fett in this moment. Like, if you did something with Moff Gideon, it'd be like Moff Gideon's on trial kind of deal. And you just show us what's going on with Moff Gideon and how the Republic's doing
Moff
its
Gideon's memoirs.
thing. Yeah, something like that. The trial of Gideon. Like, you could have.
No,
like,
I think the
it's just-
title
that's
would have
how I
been too
view it.
long. If I had to sit there and go, on today's episode of The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 1, I would have been like, the title's too long.
Well, and that's just how I viewed it. As I felt like it was just a chapter out of. I think it was like a sub chapter out of the Mandalorian itself.
It is exactly what it is.
And
I saw Rex and around make the same point.
did they really?
Yeah, no, Michael made the same exact
Hey.
That's
point
all.
talking
Okay,
about
see,
the
and I
Bible.
haven't watched that episode yet, and I've been wanting to.
Really good.
Oh,
Is
it's
it?
good. I watched
I'm just
it.
happy to see them back. I'm sorry. I enjoyed
Love
them.
Michael.
You know, they made the podcast, and then at the end they said, and we might never make another. And I was
I
like,
know, right?
He'll make another.
I mean, that's less competition for our two podcasts, but yeah.
Give us the views!
We want your face.
Will flock to us.
That is fast.
Anyway,
I think my overall take was it because, so I've been rewatching it, and I think I was a little bit harsh. Then I kind of, I'm a numbers guy. I've always been a number guy. Numbers don't lie. And looking at the numbers of the fans and the age ranges of the fans on who liked it and who disliked it, this was created for y'all, for the younger viewer. Me, it wasn't created for me, so I'm not supposed to like it. I'm supposed to look at it as what it is. I'm supposed to look at it as this is some Disney garbage that Disney just puts out just because they just need to. I still believe that they made it look bad intentionally to make Kenobi look great, which is a good marketing strategy. But the overall thing is like 80% of people 18 to 30 said it was great. People over 30, I think it was like 76% of people over 30 said they didn't like it. And they gave it very low numbers. I didn't give it a super low number. I said out of 10, I gave the entire series, I'm going to give it a 5. I think 5 is a fair number. It had a little bit of everything. It just didn't have what it needed to be a great episode or a great series. And that was just, the action was good on the action scenes. The overall aesthetics of the aesthetics and the score and the Foley and everything is just amazing in it. They did a great job with that. Just kind of lacked in story a lot, just like, wait, what's going on? What? Why? But the way that they tied it in kind of worked, because a lot of people miss the fact that he kills Cad Bane if he's dead.
Hey,
with the gaffy stick.
He's still alive. I'm holding on to hope.
Garrison over here, hold on strong.
So to bring the gaffy stick from
man's got shit.
all the way from the beginning, all the way to the end, the gaffy stick was there. He created the gaffy stick. He learned how to use the gaffy stick, and the gaffy stick stole his life or saved his life. Kind of flowed through, and it made it good. After rewatching everything, I'm like, okay, now it makes a little bit more sense. But at the same time, it's not something that I just think that they could have done way better. So I'm not going to just say I just completely don't like it. There's a lot of parts that I like, but I think there was a little bit of the story that they could have done a better job on. That's just my personal opinion, though.
Mm-hmm.
I wish the Tuskens wouldn't have died. I'm sorry. I'm just going to openly say I think the Tuskens at the end of the story fighting with Boba Fett, coming together, and finally getting rid of the Pikes would have been so powerful. Just a bunch of Tusken Raiders beating the hell out of some Pikes with some gaffy sticks. I think that would have been just powerful. Like, he thought they all died. I do want to say
a couple things. So, first of all, for anyone who doesn't know, Kyle giving that show a 5 out of 10, for Kyle, nothing is a 10 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah.
So nothing can ever be. So that's something you need to keep in mind.
Yeah.
So, and then a second thing, is that the Tuskens getting killed is a perfect example of something that you guys constantly say on your show, which is Star Wars loves to traumatize its characters.
Oh God,
yes.
Star Wars loves to absolutely traumatize its main characters. So when they all died, all I could do when I first watched it was yeah, they do.
They're good at that. Not only are they good at traumatizing, but I think that was the catalyst that we needed for Boba Fett to start acting like Boba Fett. It was just kind of weird that they jumped into 2 Mandalorian shows before they got to the Boba Fett part, or a Mandalorian and then Luke and then Grogu. But I really liked the way that they brought Grogu back. Because I was wondering, dude, how many people is really going to watch The Mandalorian now that Grogu is gone? I'm like, this is not, Grogu is the main character. He's the whole point of the whole first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian is about Grogu. So if you take Grogu out of it, what is left of The Mandalorian? So for them to bring it back, and, I think that they did a really good job at that. And I think we needed the Book of Boba Fett to do that. When you start looking at it as a whole, and you stop looking at it as, and it's something that Charlie brought up on our show, is she said, you can't judge it by each one of the episodes. You got to look at it as the whole. Mm-hmm. So that's what I've been doing. I've been going back. I said, okay, I'm going to stop being stubborn. I'm going to stop being, the jerk that I am and, the critical just asshole. And I'm going to go and I'm going to look at it and watch it as a whole. And now that I went back and I watched it all over again, the entire series as one thing, I kind of got like, okay, there's a purpose for each one of the steps that they did. Something that CJ has brought up a whole bunch is trust the Filoni. So you got to set back and you got to look at it as a whole. And then what you see the importance of it. Not that it was good, because it's really, I mean, like I said, 5 out of 10. But the things that they led us to is the things that we needed to happen for the Mandalorian to go on. We need some of these things to happen for Kenobi. I think some of the little things that's going to pop up in Kenobi is going to surprise people that have to do with the Book of Boba Fett. Even though the time period is different, Kenobi's going to lead to some of the things that are happening in the Book of Boba Fett, like the separation in time. You'll be able to see these certain characters that come up and are seen. So I think that it was a real good way of tying in things, and I think we needed it for the story to make sense. Because once again, I believe, and this is something I believe, that they didn't make it as great as they could have. They couldn't have made Boba Fett be super Boba Fett, because that takes away from the Mandalorian. And we got Kenobi in 13 weeks, and that's their big point. That's what they got to push for, is the Kenobi series. So they got to make everything else look kind of mediocre to make Kenobi look just wonderful.
I would do anything to go back to 9-year-old me and be like, hey, listen, you're getting an Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series. That's what you're getting. You only have to wait a little while, but that's what you're like.
You know, it made me happy. So today is, I'm calling him my son because he's practically my son, and I've been around him forever now. Today's his first birthday, and we were doing all the celebrations before I hopped on here. And my best friend in the whole world, I'm a big Star Wars fan. We're a big Star Wars house. We're a big Mandalorian house. We like the Mandalorian culture. But my best friend rolls up, and he's got this gift. He's like, you got to look inside this bag. And I'm like, all right. We have, you know, those Walmart lightsabers that you can tear apart and you can put like different pieces of.
Yeah.
So we have Mace Windu's and we have Ahsoka's. He's like, look in the bag. I know that Cassian has been really adamant on stealing his sister's lightsaber. He got him Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber. And I was like, oh, not only is that cool, don't get me wrong, I appreciate the gesture. There's going to be a lot of broken stuff in the house. He'll grabs his sister's lightsaber and he whaps me with it and he whaps the TV with it. And he's very adamant. He's very adamant on using it very violently. And now he's got his own, and now I'm terrified. But the fact that I get to share this excitement right here, that like the book of Boba Fett, I was overly drastic for. Like I was impatient as hell. Like I couldn't sit still when it finally came out. The fact that we are getting all this and they're finally deciding to be like, hey, I know you older generation people that watched, 4, 5, and 6, and then the generation that watched 1, 2, and 3. I know you guys are not going to like this, but it's going to be something for your kids. It's going to be something that you want. And I hope that Kenobi does both. I hope I can show Cass and Phoenix this and they love it. And then I get to sit back and tear up and see those moments that I wanted. Like the Kenobi and Qui-Gon conversation that I read in the Kenobi book, I want it. Hands down, I want it. There's no arguments. It better happen. It just better happen.
All I got to say is what I would recommend is hope that it happens, but don't be like it better happen, because if it doesn't happen, then you're not going to like the show as much as you could.
I'm going to bawl my eyes out. I'm going to be so bummed.
Dude,
come on. Liam Neeson has avoided Star Wars questions for months now.
But you got to understand, too, that we, as Star Wars fans, we are probably the most critical fans in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
There's no other franchise. Like, I've listened to other podcasts that have to do with Marvel and have to do with Star Trek and different stuff. And sitting back and listening to them, it's like they are nowhere as critical as we are. We expect, and I guess we were spoiled with George Lucas. We just, everything that man made, it was just perfect, even though he didn't think so, because he went back and changed everything, flipped things around and did all stuff. We thought it was perfect. And then when something doesn't come out to fit our expectations, we just are critical. I just think one of the biggest problems that we have as fans is the gatekeeping and the like somebody can't have an opinion. oh, go to hell because you have a different opinion than me. Like, nah, we're all fans. We all love some part of Star Wars. There's so much of it. If you don't like something about it, then you're probably just weird. But, there's just so much content, and there's no reason that anybody can sit back and say, there's no reason anybody should be hating on somebody else because they like or dislike something that has to do with Star Wars. That's why there's so much content. And we have a company, and it sucks that Disney does the stuff that they do, but we have a company that can take Star Wars in directions that George would have never even allowed to happen.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on a Mara Jade. I want Mara Jade to come. I'm sorry. Everybody can be mad at me.
Yeah.
But I want Mara Jade to
not
come.
happening.
Come on, she was dope. And
She was the Empress's hand, but the Emperor's hand, but no.
And I'm sorry. I think that they should do a series on Lorna D. I'm sorry. Everybody can be mad at me for saying that. Lorna D is dope.
I'm okay with that. That's
Lorna
cool.
D is dope. I want to see a series about her. So if you guys haven't listened to none of the or read any of the High Republic books, Tempest Runner, highly recommend Tempest Runner. That book is dope. That book, like, I haven't been excited. I listened to basically every book that's ever came out. I just finished the third book of Thrawn, and I haven't listened to a book in a very long time that's as good as Tempest Runner. That book had me on the edge of my seat the whole time. Get him, hit him in the face. Oh, this lady is crazy. She went from basically, and I'm not trying to spoil it for nobody because you're going to figure it out sooner or later if you listen to it or not. But she went from being a princess to being the bad guy, like one of the baddest guys that you can be. She is, Spoiler alert for anybody that's listening, but I mean, you would find out quickly in the book. It jumps off really quickly in the book. So like, she's my new love of Star Wars. Like, I want to marry her.
And
just because I would never have to worry about anything because she'll kill everybody.
And the platform of the book, like you said in our episode, Kyle, is how they're doing it, like middle, beginning, and then end. Like the fact that the book series is doing kind of like what we got with the Star Wars trilogy, it's so nice. It's such a gripping.
Confusing
style.
though, but it pays off in the end.
It does.
Yeah,
I haven't had time to read books as of recently, but I love the Thrawn books. Are awesome.
Yeah.
I read Master and Apprentice, which I thought was pretty good. I listened to the audiobook for Dark Disciple. Thought that was a good book. And I feel like there's another one that I read recently too. I read Resistance Reborn, leading up to when The Rise of Skywalker was coming out. The books are great, and they're great supplements to the movies and the shows. To go back to one of the points that you had made, Kyle, was about like the gatekeeping and stuff. I think that I've stepped away from like the negativity. I just don't engage with people like I used to. If I see someone making like a comment that I don't like, I just ignore it. I just whatever. Like go.
I'm the same way. I don't pay attention to it. I'm one of those people, and it's kind of messed up because my assistant gets on to me all the time because I get on my Instagram or get on the TikTok and I just like everybody because they commented. I don't even know what they said, but you see it happen so often, and especially it happens to younger viewers and listeners and stuff, and they don't know the information. They don't know the struggles of Star Wars and everything, and it upsets me personally because now you're robbing this person of having that Star Wars experience. Because you want to say, oh, it's not canon or it's Legends or it's, whatever the situation. It's all Star Wars. George Lucas himself allowed people to use his content and create any content off of that. Never copyright struck anybody. There hasn't been a copyright strike since before Disney took over. Nobody had ever got a copyright strike on YouTube or writing books or anything. George never asked for nothing. He didn't say, I need some money because you wrote a book about Star Wars. He never asked for none of that stuff because he wanted people to utilize his ideas, to go create stuff. That's why he made the EU. He said anything that's beyond what is mine is the EU. And Disney just turned it into Legends. But he didn't care about that. He wanted Star Wars to flourish. And to take that away from people, it's just sad, because how many Star Wars fans is out there that are real fans that won't talk about Star Wars? Kind of like we all experienced when we were younger. We couldn't come out the closet. You had to be in the closet if you was a nerd. Because if you was a nerd, you was going to get beat up, or they was going to treat you bad, or whatever. And that's kind of how the fandom is doing to these younger people now. And it's just sad. It's just really, really sad. And I wish it would stop. I know I don't have no real control over it, but it sucks that we have to see it.
Yeah. And I think that the biggest thing too is, and the three of us will complain about it to each other. When someone finds out that you like Star Wars, or you say the word Star Wars, the first thing out of everybody's mouth is,
"What'd you think of those new trash sequel movies, bro? They were trash, right?"
It's like, so what'd you think of it? Like, I can't tell you how many times I've been like, "Oh yeah, I like Star Wars," or "Oh, do you like Star Wars?" The first thing out of people's mouth, "So what'd you think of the new movies?" And it's like, why can't we just talk about the things that we like? Like, who actually cares? And I think that the Star Wars fandom is so tainted by, like, let's hurry up and bandwagon on the one little thing that we didn't like. Like, there's some stuff that's like memeable, like the one mod spinning in the Book of Boba Fett.
That's funny.
We made
a
another
TikTok about it.
We made another TikTok. If it'll ever load, we made fun of it. If it'll load, if it'll load, if it'll load, if it'll load. Yeah, we made fun of it. We made fun of it.
we'll make fun of stuff like that, with in a lighthearted way. But like, at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of fans, fans, a lot of people are like casual fans. They get way too caught up in all the negativity, and I think that's just a reflection of like how the internet is. Everyone's like, "Oh, I didn't like this one thing. Let's all jump on the bandwagon and like express our shared hatred of this one thing."
It goes down to the Kathleen Kennedy thing. And what everybody, so basically I've been having this conflict with myself, kind of like, what is Legends and what is canon? You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to bring up the Legends canon thing, the EU and canon. Everybody wants to bring that, "Oh, that's not canon." Well, I did some research. I sat back for like 12 hours and just researched this. And everything that we're watching now is Legends. And the only reason it's sticking to the canon timeline is because of Kathleen Kennedy, Dave, and John. That's it. So we bash Kathleen Kennedy all the time, but she's the one like, "Nah, that doesn't fit with the timeline. Well, let's kind of keep it." Because Disney basically told their writers, "Write whatever you want. Long as it's going to make us money, we don't care." But everything other than the 6 movies and the Clone Wars everything other than that is all Legends. It's not, only thing that is canon is things that came out of George Lucas's mind. That's what George Lucas said himself. So when you look at that, and people are like, "Oh, that's not canon." Like, none of this is canon. All of this is Legends, because George didn't create none of this. So for the gatekeeping when it comes to that, it's not canon. Oh, Kathleen, but you bash Kathleen Kennedy did as one of the only people, and I did it. I was like, "This lady is screwing up Star Wars. What is she doing?" And then till I found out. I had to go back and research, and then I had to recant what I said. Okay, it's not Kathleen Kennedy's fault. They did this because Disney wanted to make money. So they said, how can we keep this close to the timeline, but create new characters? And how can we make the most money off of the sequel trilogy? Let's just make the original trilogy again with new characters. And that's what they did. And none of the movies are bad. I don't think that I agree with some of the things that happen, and they're not my favorite, my favorite movies, but I will watch them. And I've watched them multiple times. They're still Star Wars. I'm going to watch Star Wars. I'm not like everybody's like, "Oh, Andor's coming out." I'm like, no, I'm not a big fan of Andor. I think that dude's a criminal. He's not the greatest person in the world to like.
My son is named after him. Thank you very much.
But at the same time, it's Star Wars. I'm gonna watch it, and I'm gonna enjoy watching it, even if I don't like it. I'm like I said, I'm not the biggest opponent of the Book of Boba Fett, but I done watched it twice, and I plan on watching it again. It's not my favorite Star Wars, but I'm gonna watch it because it's Star Wars. Like I went through the 1983 to 1999 of no Star Wars. I went through that.
The dark times.
Dark
Before
times.
the Sith.
And a lot of people don't realize that we complaining about having Star Wars, about what Star Wars has become, but you don't remember the part, and it's mostly the older fans. They don't remember the part when there wasn't no Star Wars. Like, we went through a big, giant gap of no Star Wars. There was nothing. You didn't have anything. All you had was books, comics. That's all you was getting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have nothing that we could watch on TV. And now we have TV shows. There was never a Star Wars TV show until Disney took over.
The holiday special.
That wasn't that wasn't Star Wars.
Quit pulling that. The holiday special is dead to me. Nightmares. That thing is made from nightmares. The only thing we got out of that was the Wookiee, the wandering Wookiee one, where we met Boba Fett for the very, very first time. And to me, that was it. That was all that mattered. After that, seeing Chewie's son, I'm sorry. He has that, you smell different when you're awake look. I'm sorry. He does.
That was so specific.
My favorite parts are the cooking with Mama Wookiee, and then when the baby Wookiee starts walking on the banister and contemplating life, and then the shot just disappears, and they never mention it again.
My favorite part is if you put it on, everybody will leave your house.
Oh, Carrie. Oh, God.
But
What were you gonna say,
I just think
Charlie?
there's a lot to love with Star Wars, and I've just once I stopped getting caught up in the negativity and like feeling the need to like fight with people over the internet, like I've just enjoyed it so much more. And like this podcast has been a great outlet for that. Just to put out like positive energy and positive energy in it. Yeah. And like it's so refreshing. Like I listen to like if I'm listening to your guys' podcast or I'm listening to like Rex and Around or like whoever else I'm listening to like in the morning when I'm getting ready for the day. It's like it's just so nice to just listen to fans just talk about Star Wars instead of like getting caught up in all this like hippy dippy garbage. Like when you guys disagree, it's so much fun to just listen to you guys have civil discourse about a show, a movie, whatever. You guys just talk about it and you're all friends and it's just cool. Like it's so refreshing. And so
and plus it's nice that this is the thing. It's all right to not like something. When did it became like this big bad thing to say I didn't like this episode. I didn't really care for it. And somebody else will say, I liked it. That's okay. We're allowed to like and dislike things. But when it's just become, no, you can't do that because it's the end of the world if you don't like it. Like, what are you talking about? Nothing's going to change just because I don't like something or if I love it. Ain't nothing going to change. People are allowed to like and dislike stuff. It's like the craziest thing is people will lose their mind over Star Wars. But I can drink Budweiser and somebody can drink Coors and we can sit back, I don't like Budweiser, I like Coors. Or I don't like Coors, I like Budweiser. And it's okay. Two alcohols, it's perfectly fine to say I don't like that. I like this. But we talking about Star Wars and it becomes this giant crucial thing for no reason. It's like, why is it got to be like that? Why can't we just be allowed to like, I didn't like that series, or I didn't like that episode, or I didn't like that comic. Or I don't like the fact that they keep announcing games that don't ever come out. I don't like that.
Shut up. You're wrong.
It's happening.
You're so
Lego
wrong.
is happening.
Yeah, the last 20 of them was happening too.
No, Lego is happening. I've already pre-ordered.
I did too.
I am so excited. You have no idea. I grew up playing Lego Star Wars, and I will die playing Lego Star Wars. I am ready.
Yeah. I'm going to be in the home on my deathbed. In the old people home, and they're going to be like,
I'm playing this, I got join.
Sir, your pulse is going down. Your pulse is going down.
But I'm going to beat the pod racing level again. Sir, we need to get you on life support.
This is life support.
I did one more canister. I did one more canister.
He said, "This is life support."
I'm so excited.
Just put me back together with the bricks.
Y'all are too much. Oh my goodness.
No, and like I said, like this universe has honestly gotten me through the darkest times in my life. And it's gotten a lot of people through it. Every time I've been in a bad mood or I've gone through something traumatic, I'll throw on Empire, I'll throw on Clone Wars or anything. Like I'll have a bad night with the kids and it's just been bad and we'll all cuddle up on the couch and watch Clone Wars. Like it's something that a family can be meshed with if the family likes watching it, for starters.
Right.
My two are small enough to the point where any cartoon works. So but
it's funny because I was downstairs earlier watching Rebels because I was cooking and getting stuff ready. And I'm downstairs cooking, and my wife comes downstairs, and I'm watching Rebels, and she sits down, and she's sitting there like, "What are you watching?" And so I'm like, "I watched the Star Wars Rebels," and she was like, "Okay." And I said, one thing that people fail to realize, when it comes to Star Wars, there's always a message. Every episode has a message.
Straight up.
And if you sit back and you realize what that message is, you can live your life by these messages, and it'll make you a better person. It'll make the world better. But you got to sit back. If you don't ever watch it, you're never going to know. And she's like, "So what's the message of this episode?" I think I was like on episode 11. And I said, basically the episode is, it was the one where Kanan takes Ezra to the Jedi Temple. Oh. And I said, it's about finding yourself. Finding yourself and realizing who you really are. Because it was two parts. Ezra needed to find himself and what he really meant. And Kanan needed to find who he really was, because he had been lost so long. He's been running around being kind of like the pirate rebel guy, they're robbing, stealing, doing whatever they can to the Empire and to everybody else just to make credits to survive. But he had to come back to being who he was in order to be Ezra's master. And he didn't know if he could do it yet. Ezra didn't know if he wanted to be a Jedi. He didn't know if he could do it. So it was one of those things where you realize where I've came from and where I'm going. And that's what Star Wars does. And a lot of people don't look at it. They just look at it as a TV show. They don't look for them hidden messages. They don't look for them hidden things, them gems that are inside of Star Wars that will show you and help you be a better person. And I think a lot of people that are watching these shows now and they're looking at these shows and they're looking at everything, they're not realizing what's really happening. They're just watching it for a TV show. They're not looking for the meanings behind Star Wars. And that's something that we know that John and Dave both took from George very, very, a whole lot. They took a very importance to that, because it has to give you meaning. If there's no meaning, if there's no hidden agenda behind the scenes, then you're not doing a good job. And even in the book of Boba Fett, they did that. They showed you can overcome your reputation. You can overcome and you can change from who you are to who you want to be. And that's what they showed in the whole series. And a lot of people don't get that. And it's something that I had to go back and rewatch it again, because I was looking at it as an individual show to show. Even Grogu. Grogu had a chance to become Luke's very first student. And he chose family over that. It's not something that most people's going to, I have a chance to be an NFL superstar, screw my family. I'm going to go be an NFL superstar. Grogu had that same shot, since it is Super Bowl Sunday. I figured I'd throw a NFL reference in there. But, he didn't do that. He didn't choose that. He didn't choose that route. He chose the route to go back to who he cared about. And if we truly care about Star Wars, you got to go back to the underlying meaning that it's about faith, hope, and family. And that's what Star Wars has always been about.
And I think that is very important to say, because I talk with my peers about the Book of Boba Fett, for an example, and they'll just go, "Oh, it's boring. Like this, there's so much filler, so much." To be honest with you, filler is my least favorite word when it comes to the Star Wars community, because you'll have all these people, and yes, there's such a thing as a filler episode or whatever, but like you said, there's a message even within like what would be considered a filler episode.
I think you got a dead one in the middle.
I think he dead.
We need to resuscitate. Put him in the back of the tank.
Somebody get me one of them Gamorrean guards. I need resuscitation.
Those voluptuous Gamorrean lips. I bring them up all the time. Let me tell you.
Oh
Let me
my
tell
God.
you.
I'm a go. I'm a go. I'd rather have Gaza flip. Sorry.
But
I think
yeah,
I want the negotiator. What's his name?
the mayor is indisposable at the
It
moment.
seems that you are not breathing.
You know, on Coruscant, I did take a course in resuscitation.
Pop them lips open.
Oh Jesus!
That was one of the things that I didn't like about it, because they didn't show. They blew up the bar or the whorehouse or whatever you want to call it, and they didn't show what happened. See, we don't know what happened. Like, did she jump on the ground and survive? Did anybody survive? They didn't show
They all
anything. They just left it there.
disintegrate.
Where's Space MILF? Where is she? Where?
Give me.
I need the information now.
Like they didn't tell us anything.
I am still mad that droid was like, "Hey, you forgot this."
Hey, you forgot your bob.
Like, don't touch
Oh,
stuff.
man.
Quit,
Yeah.
Ricky. Quit touching shit.
Well, he will never touch anything again. You want to know why? Because he's
Pretty sure he's died. Pretty
No,
sure,
I'm
if,
pretty
it-
sure he ain't coming back.
if anybody is definitely to die in that one, it was him.
Yeah,
You know who's not dead? Max
died.
Rebo.
Max
That's
Rebo
right.
was
Max
not
Rebo's
in that
not dead.
episode. He has survived. He's just going to another
Max
bar.
Rebo went on vacation.
Max
No, he had another
PTO.
gig. He was at
Max
he was at a bar
Rebo is
down
a
the
Sith
road.
Lord, and he put up a
Max
barrier.
Rebo is indispensable at the moment.
Max Rebo is on a scheduled vacation.
He
Jeez.
gone.
He is the
yeah.
master behind everything that's been happening in the galaxy. He was actually Sidious's. He was Plagueis' master. That's why he keeps
He's the one that
surviving
wrote the line.
everything.
Somehow Palpatine returned and said it was okay.
If Palpatine returns again, I'm gonna be like, oh god, y'all are shooting for the stars at this point.
The Star Wars. Anyway,
So I don't know. I don't really have much else. Do you guys? I mean,
No.
Unless you want to hit him with some rapid
hey,
fires.
did you guys have any questions for us?
How long have y'all been had y'all's podcast? I was
Like
trying to go
7
back through the
months
thing, but
ago.
for some reason my computer kept glitching, and like
have
I was
had
trying to
our
go back to like the
podcast.
beginning of y'all's episodes, and it kept jumping back up. I was like, why can't I go back to the beginning so I can hear like the first ones? And
Let me check. I'm looking right now.
Yeah.
Like 7
Well,
months.
I think we created the YouTube channel on June 25th of last year, so 2021, and then we posted our first podcast. I think in July.
It
was
says
when
7 months ago. I'm trying to pull up the exact date.
it doesn't happen.
June 28th,
There you
2021.
that was our first podcast.
Nice.
So that's-
It's barely
it was right
7
around the same time we started this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I got told that I was going to be on the podcast on my birthday, and that
Oh.
next week was the first episode. And my birthday is on the 19th. So that next
Wow,
week is
what
when.
that?
Damn.
That's how I remember our anniversary, guys. Don't get mad.
That's
anniversary of my life,
so
guys.
cute.
I'm a sentimental type, okay? The only reason why I remember Tori and I's anniversary is because it was on Halloween. And it's my favorite holiday.
That's tremendously true.
Delilah and I's anniversary is on the 4th of July. It's
Did
pretty
you just
easy to
name
remember.
drop your girlfriend? You just doxed
Damn.
your girlfriend.
I
Oh, no.
name
Oh,
dropped
no.
her
We
3
definitely
times
said it.
now.
He has to do that every episode. He's under contract.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's either I name drop her or I bring her on, and I'd rather just name drop her.
don't know. It was
That's why.
fun when she came on the show with
Oh,
us.
she,
It
I
was.
did. I watched that
she's a
episode.
mega
That was
Star Wars
fun.
fan like I am. Like,
Y'all got to watch our last episode. That Oh my god.
Oh,
Oh
jeez.
my gosh!
Yesterday?
I thought we
I
were
didn't
gonna
get to
get
tune
kicked
in
off
for
of
Oh,
live.
I thought
YouTube.
we were gonna get
So much that
modded.
I watched it, and I was dying the entire time. And you were like, "Yeah, man, I'd smashed." I was at the entire show. It was so.
I have yet to
incredibly
see it,
funny.
but now I have to.
You have
It was
to.
great. I honestly, I think that
So
was
good.
Charlie's brightest idea, other than her impossible
Oh, it was
quiz,
Charlie's
was the
idea.
smash or pass of Star Wars.
Now, did this come from the reading you did when you were younger, or
I'm gonna just
this be on the
because
test?
just because I feel really embarrassed about misspeaking like that. What I meant to say is that I was reading books that were a much higher level than what I should have been reading at that age. That's what I was trying to
We
say. But
figured.
it did not.
We figured, but take
I
that out
don't
of
think that
context is
I
way
don't
more
think
fun.
that Hustler counts as books. I really don't.
Hey, they have great comic strips.
reading level.
I love reading the bios and what they're into. Okay, how dare
No.
you?
The Tackle Pass was genuinely meant to be like a 10-minute warm-up thing, and it turned into 40 minutes of like the entire show. So
Hey, it was fun though. That's why we're called the Outrageous
That is
Podcast, the
very
Outrageous
true.
Star Wars
You're
Podcast.
the most
'cause,
mediocre. You're the most mediocre.
yeah, we're outrageous.
But I don't
I'm
find
looking
nothing that
like-
y'all say is
Yeah,
y'all are not
nothing is
mediocre. I don't know why. Who came up with
I
that?
don't
Which
know
one of
who-
y'all came up with
You
that?
guys make it up.
Self-deprecating.
The joke was it was the first couple episodes. It felt every episode something would go wrong, or like especially when we
yeah.
first started, we were like, "What?" We were like, "Hey guys, welcome to."
So I really
The
liked the
13
Bad Batch
podcast.
episode. Here is why I
Guys,
enjoyed
this
it.
is so good. I love the Star Wars. This
So-
so it was quite mediocre when it started. So it was just like, haha, it's a joke.
We were also doing this thing like at the beginning of every episode where we try to like say like it was the most and then use a different adjective. And then mediocre just kind of stuck because we just kept saying it over and over again because we'd panic whoever was
I
saying
love
it
that.
and just say mediocre again. So it's like our brand now.
Hey, that's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's a really good idea.
that's,
Things
yeah,
come
so that's
together
that.
as you just do stuff. You know, that's the crazy
Yeah.
thing. The more you guys do stuff, just same thing with us. The more we do stuff, the more comfortable you get, and the more things just start flowing into a general sense. And then it just becomes like I'm having fun. I don't care no more. I don't care what everybody thinks. I'm just going to have fun.
Now, like in our next episodes coming out, you know, we're so comfortable now that, you know, Jacob wishes prostate cancer on people now. So
Well,
he was
the
like,
other
I forget what you were mad about.
I forget what I was mad
Black
about. too.
Series figures.
He was mad about action figures, and he was like, yes. And if you thought this, then I hope you get prostate cancer. And we were like,
Oh wow.
That's so
There-
dark. But I
there's,
agree
like-
with the Black Series, though. I'm tired of, we're canceling this. And then, you can still buy it. What do you...
Don't get me started.
Don't get us started.
Don't get me started.
No,
But
and
yeah,
I have to agree, though, with you guys. It's like, that's how we started off. We were trying to learn how to approach certain things with each other. And we finally just got to a point where we just said it, and if somebody got mad, then we got into a slight debate, and then we all agreed, like it was, or disagreed, or sat in our ways. And Charlie will die
think
on the
my
Ray
favorite-
Skywalker hill, and I will die at the bottom of it because I don't agree. Like,
I think my favorite is like when everyone will be talking, and then Charlie just goes, "Can I have a turn?"
Or she'll just tell us to shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. That's why we brought her on the show, because we needed somebody that was going to keep all of us idiots in line, because we'll get left field. We'll get to, I don't know what happened last week, but we were literally on like a 5-minute conversation about the Lord of the Rings. I had to tell everybody to shut up that time. Like, what are we talking about? Because Charlie was in on it. She was in on it. She got to talk about the Lord of the Rings and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, I watched all of them. They was cool. Whatever. Why are we talking about this?
one time we talked about Rambo on the episode.
We talked about
Rambo. In,
No, that was you that talked about Rambo.
It was Rocky. No, hold on. It was Rocky because we had pulled up that you had Apollo Creed on one of your Swaycast episodes. And
Yeah.
How you talked for 10 minutes in one episode about Tom and Jerry. I've been going through and clipping everything to make stuff for the YouTube, and there's one There's one segment where you say, "Yeah, I really love Tom and Jerry. You know, they're just jacking on each other, and it's great." And Garrison goes and just second guesses himself, does nothing, and just lets you carry on. It's just like, "No, I'm not touching this today. That's not."
That's why we're the outrageous Star Wars show. That's my excuse for everything that I do that's stupid.
We're disgusting, Kyle. At this point, we are disgusting. I think 3 of us said that we'd smash a Wookiee. I admitted to taking the entirety of the Clone Army on all at once.
Oh my gosh.
Hey,
the
I
lady
feel
with the
like
glasses
Chewie would
and-
be a
it's
cuddler.
Maz.
No, he didn't.
I told you that before the show started. I said, he was like, yeah, man, she got all that age too. She probably been around. I was like,
Jeez.
no! No!
Hey, originally when we started talking about it, I was just gonna say yes to everybody. I was just gonna say yes, but then some people came up. I was like, no, that's not. No, that's not. No, I can't do that. But originally when Charlie brought it up, she was like, we're gonna play Smash or Pass with Star Wars characters. I said, I'm gonna say yes to everybody, and then I'm gonna have a good reason why I said yes to everybody. But it just after a minute, I was like, I can't do that. That's
The
just
only reason you had is you only live once. That was your only response.
Hey, brother lives once.
And then we started pulling up like the what was that one from Rogue One? The Go Bullet? I can't say it. Like Garrison
Gullet?
does. Yeah.
I said yeah to the
And
bullet, I remember.
Kyle's like, yeah, smash. You only live once. And it obviously, if it touches you and it wipes your brain, just imagine having fun with it.
What?
It was too. It was just straight.
Hey, bro, if you catch long-term Alzheimer's from the space station, it kind of worth it, though. That got that grip and go crazy. Say go if you can't say that. What have you
Hey,
done?
some of them characters you would definitely get prostate cancer if you mess with them.
I am still set on like the Wookiee thing because I feel like Chewie would be a hell of a cuddler after that. Okay,
I got a Brokeback Mountain on this episode. Like I don't even know how. I was like, you can Brokeback Mountain with Chewie.
Did you guys have any other questions for us?
No, I'm good.
Do you guys have any rapid fires or anything you think?
Yeah, so we like to do our little lightning round. So we're going to ask each of you one by one. We'll go Kyle, Charlie, CJ, because that's how I see you on my screen. We'll ask favorite movie for Star Wars, then favorite Star Wars show, then favorite Star Wars character. So, Kyle, if you want to answer those.
Favorite movie?
Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, good choice.
Favorite show?
Favorite show.
Rebels.
Good choice.
Good choice.
Okay.
Favorite character?
Are we doing all characters?
You can
Yeah.
do all characters.
Bane.
Ooh, like Darth Bane?
Yes.
That's
Like
a good
Cad
choice.
Bane?
That's a good choice. All right, Charlie, favorite movie?
Phantom Menace.
Oh,
Nice.
Favorite TV show?
Mandalorian.
Nice. Favorite
solid.
character?
Favorite character? It's going to be my baby, isn't it? It's going to be Rey Skywalker. It has to be.
That's
Nice.
That's tremendously facts. That's tremendously facts.
Okay.
Valid.
CJ?
CJ,
Favorite movie?
favorite movie?
Empire,
Okay.
Very nice,
TV
very
show?
nice.
Clone Wars,
Yeah. Favorite character?
Boba Fett.
Okay. So, one thing that we would like to do with every single one of our Have a Chat episodes is share the YouTube channel if you have one. So we have it pulled up on a tab here. So you should be able to see it on your end. So LightSaber Radio, wonderful YouTube channel.
Yes.
If you are not subscribed and you're watching this podcast episode right now, you better go subscribe to their channel
And hit
or-
that bell icon.
Hit the bell.
Hit that bell icon. Hit that
And if you
bell
don't want to be
icon.
disturbed, do not watch the one with the pink thing right here on the corner. You don't want to watch that one. Don't watch that one because you will be it will cause you nightmares after you get done watching that one.
You will look at us, all of us, in a different light,
Yeah.
And if you want to keep us in the same perspective that you started watching this with, just skip past that episode or watch it, but mute it. Just watch our reactions. Just don't listen if you're a faint heart.
You can also find us on all major
If
social
you're
media.
under the age of 75, don't watch the episode with sound
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that it pretty much wraps up our Habit Chat episode. Like we said, if you are not subscribed to LightSaber Radio, go do that. All of their links to all of their social media will be in the description below. So you can check that all out. And other than that,
Thank you so much for watching this episode of the 1313 podcast. Be sure to leave a comment, leave a like, and go subscribe to LightSaber Radio. They're amazing people. They come out with an amazing show. So be sure that you're subscribing and watching their videos. Also, don't be afraid to check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We've been posting TikToks actually more recently now. Not only about episodes, but we're actually posting little fun things now. They actually kind of be popping off. They're quite hilarious. Go check them out. Be sure to join that Discord. We have lots of fun conversations every single day in there. Always people in there. Lots of fun to talk to.
Play Battlefront.
Yeah, we played Battlefront last night with people in the Discord. It was quite fun. So be sure you join. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and we will see you in the very next. Bye. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.